All right, folks, so the real estate sugar high. Have you ever been driven by sugar, by that adrenaline? You know that the crash is following. That's just the reality. When the sugar wears off, the crash is following. So it's kind of the same thing. I'll get into that. What has happened during that peak, the ultimate peak that we had ever recorded in Canadian history, and sales have been 50% down year over year. Also, I would like to get into the new policy measures with people coming back to work. You know, like now it's like 3 to 4 days a week, and then it's going to be 4 to 5 days a week coming January 2026. So all of these things are impacting and changing, and we'll get into why. Also, I would like to give you some scenarios why many believed across Canada and maybe United States or whatever that, you know, it is impossible for a town or a city to go under because it was so strong, right? So I definitely have an example on that. So let's just get into the video and let's try to talk about what actually happened, right? So the fake wealth, right? So we'll get into that as well. So the myth of the next boom, right? So everyone is waiting for the next boom. Many people are lining up their chips, right? Like they're just lining it up, and you know, they know we had a little bit of a shake or instability in our real estate market. Therefore, let's prepare because the boom is following. It's just how it is, but they're forgetting the sugar rush, right? The sugar high. So this is where we're at. So everyone's focused on the next cycle. So this is exactly it. Sales are down 50% year over year. Debt levels are at record highs, ladies and gentlemen, here in Canada. Why the optimism feels more than denial than reality? Absolutely. So I did talk about this in one of my videos, the bull trap run, right? Where we had a long decade literal run, and then we had that peak that was incredible, and you could see it on the graph. And then after that, it started feathering down. Everybody thinking, look, it's going to normalize. We'll get back to normal. We can keep reinvesting. And then obviously that didn't happen. It kind of corrected itself a little bit, but again, it went back into the, you know, wearing off the adrenaline or that particular sugar rush. And, you know, most were in denial. Like most were kind of, they wanted to reject that reality. And they said like, look, it's the denial stage, right? And then they're thinking like, okay, it's going to be the recovery stage. Right now, it's the time where we're going to see the hockey stick do this, right? And it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We have no, how I'm going to say, mechanisms in place today. And this is my personal belief. If you believe otherwise, please comment. Like, let me know. Like, I don't believe that Canada has these mechanisms to shift our current reality. Pandemic wealth, a false high. Many Canadians got rich overnight during 2020 and 2022. Prices spiked from money printing, price record demand, plus speculation. The wealth was built, it was borrowed. So that is exactly it, right? Like, you know, many believe just because they saw something in their bank, like it's like looking at a calculator number, right? Like, so they saw it and they believe, oh, this, like I created the wealth, right? Or I made that money, right? Like it's false. It's false, and it's not wealth, and it doesn't mean anything. And it showed, right? Because the only thing that many did is they acquired more debt. That's it, right? Like it wasn't anything spectacular. It was just like a simple trade and long-term hold. Let me call it that, right? So they just went into more debt, and that's it, right? So now when speaking to that, I did mention that, like policies has changed. Like in September of 2025, it's going to change again. The second part of the same structure in January of 2026, that, people have to go back to their employers, to their offices and all of that stuff. So the reason is because how it works, like the economy works, there's more than one part to it. So one part of it is, lack, or I should say brick and mortar, right? So we saw a drop during the pandemic and stuff like that. Many companies went under and whatnot. But there's also the other segment, which is the punch clock, right? So people, when they go to work and they go from work, right, that means foot traffic in a particular area. In this case, it's Toronto, right? Like we're talking about downtown Toronto and whatnot. So now we're gonna have another gridlock, because many people during the pandemic decided that they will continue to live working online and all of that stuff, because they could have, and all the measures were placed into certain measures, and they bought properties outside the core, and it was fine for a while. And now we can see, I made a video in Woodstock, like the highest recorded record ever of listings, like something like 400 listings in the month of, I believe it was August, right? So it is crazy. So it's gonna start happening all over these little towns outside Toronto, because people will have to go back to work, which is gonna create another gridlock, is gonna create additional problems, it's gonna be more traffic. And Toronto so far felt it, right? Because that foot traffic, like people are not buying the coffee, people are not, going to work, people are not using the services and all of that stuff. So that added to that pressure, right? So therefore, we have seen, like even investors, like, during the pandemic, they're holding on to these units. They cannot sell it. They cannot hold on to it. They have to maybe sell it as an assignment sale, right? And that, like, they'll, like these buyers, they're at that point, they're sharks. Like, they don't care. They'll cut your price. They'll do whatever it takes to get like an incredible deal, right? And if you're in this situation and you have no way out, like nobody will have mercy. Nobody will say, well, let's help this guy out, right? There are hundreds of these, thousands of the same units lingering around, right? So that's like in order to kind of clear that particular inventory, it's months, years by the time we do that, right? But let's move on. So the speculation equals to depression cycle. Real estate speculation always ends the same way. Yes, we have seen it. There's so many examples throughout our history in Canada, throughout history in United States. We can mention Japan. We can mention so many other big, I would say, real estate cycles and economical cycles and stuff like that. They went under, right? So I'm just asking, what makes us so incredibly special here, right? So I'm just asking, right? Builders overextended, investors over leveraged. Talked about that in many of my videos, and it is true. The extensions on some of these bills were incredible, enormous. Like they had to jack up these prices in order to finish these projects and complexes, and it just created a gridlock. Like nobody could do anything. It just froze the market. People couldn't afford it. That's it. Dead end. Now units are sitting empty, projects are being canceled, investors are definitely losing, right? So there's like who knows how many, like there are like hundreds of these projects that are put on hold, got canceled. Some of them were trying to get bailed out, but they couldn't. Like, it just didn't make sense for any other investors to jump in. And the reason is simple, right? There are no buyers. Like, once the buyers leave, there's a problem. It's like as simple as that, right? So what I wanted to mention, like, remember I said like I'm gonna name a city, right? That went through a shift, right? And that shift, like back in the day, looking at that city, you would never ever think or say that city would go under, right? So, and that city is Detroit in the United States, right? Like, I remember throughout decades and years, like that was the last city to go under, just because of the automotive industry. It was too powerful, it was too strong, it was untouchable. And yet today Detroit is like barely breathing. Nobody wants to live in Detroit, whether you're from Canada or whether you're from the United States, right? It's just how it is. So, like, don't kid yourself. Like, every city, every town can go under very, very quickly. Where we really stand, equity is melting for anyone who bought before 2021 and 2022. Whether you like it or not, that's just the reality, right? And many potential buyers today are asking, like, okay, so why aren't prices falling faster? I know they're falling, but why aren't they falling faster? So to answer that question, it's always sticky going down because people are holding on. And the only way to hold on is either you overextend yourself with debt and you try to kind of stick in that particular game for as long as you can, because it's your livelihood, it's your house, your kids go to school maybe across the street or something like that, right? Like, it's your anchor, it's your address. You don't want to lose that just like that overnight, right? Like, you want to hold on for as long as you can. Now, what gets interesting in that particular process, I would say, is that people are hoping and praying and calculating how long they can stay in the game. Some people, could stay in the game for 6 months. And we have seen the first level of people just exiting, the first 6 months to a year, right? Then 2 years, then 3 years, then 4 years, then 5 years. So finally, when we get to that cycle, that, that's it. Like, even the last level of people are giving up, then the prices will fall very, very quickly. Overnight, it's gonna seem like, right? And I believe as of now in Canada is now at 50% renting and 50% owning, right? Owners, right? So we're at 50-50. So let me get deeper into that. So when you get to a nation of renters, it is extremely hard to reset that back, right? Like, it's almost next to impossible, right? So it is going to be very difficult for Canada to create that dream, because many migrants and many people abroad visiting, coming here, like they want safety, they want to build their dream, they want to build their business, they want all of that stuff, right? Like, some prefer the English speaking language. So all of these things align, right? So that's the dream. So if you cut one of these big segments away, which is the roof over their head and the ownership and a bright future, so what else are you gonna give, right? So that's something that we have to ask ourselves. How do we kind of pivot from that, and how do we make it happen once again here in Canada? So there's 5 hard questions I'm going to try to answer. Can the market recover without a reset? I think it cannot recover. With all due respect, I believe sincerely it cannot recover, just because even if it resets today, right? Like, it'll take years for that reset to take effect, right? Because people will have to build up their equity somehow, right? That means businesses, that means everything else around us has to pick up. So for people to have the chance to acquire these down payments and stuff like that, so they can get into that market and we start all over and all over again, right? So in the 90s, when we had that crash, you know, that crash took about a decade, and these are from reliable sources, from subscribers on this channel. They're commenting below, like 99% said like it took around a decade for that recovery to take effect. And then after the decade, then we saw a slow growth, at least positive movement, if anything, right? But during that decade, it was very painful, and people were losing all kinds of equity and stress and you name it, right? So it's not a walk through a park. It's a serious matter, and it hurts financially, physically, mentally, and all sorts. So yes, I think reset will have to happen no matter what. Is Canada already in a recession that's just hidden by debt? So yes, I believe so. I talked about that in some of my other videos. I think if people did not have the ability to dip into more debt, I think we would have been in a reset long time ago, right? Long time ago. But because of these line of credits and HELOCs and all of that stuff, like even Visa cards and whatnot, right? Like one Visa pays another one, and on and on and on and on and on, right? So every dollar that Canadian earns owes $1.80. So it just goes to show you that we're way above any normal thresholds, right? Like, and I would say we are in a point of no return. That's it, right? So yes, definitely hidden by the debt. What happens when Canadians can't borrow anymore? So look, if we somehow put some kind of reset to the banks, and we said no more borrowing, no more cards, no more nothing, we have to go back to whatever you earn, that's what it is. I think 99% of the people would not be able to afford their lifestyle today. That's just how it is. I think everybody's just topping up on whatever they're earning just to afford their lifestyle. And then whatever, next year will hit, and then somehow I'll return my debt. That's it. So everybody is kind of in that big casino. But I don't think it's going to happen. So do we actually want prices to stay high or to be affordable? Well, I mean, listen, there's definitely two tunes being played at the same time. There's these people obviously that are, you know, close to retiring, and they paid off maybe their houses long time ago, and they went through the golden era from the 2000s onwards up until the pandemic. So, you know, obviously they want these prices to stay high, and, you know, that it makes sense, right? Like, obviously, but for everyone else, it doesn't make any sense. So, like, I think we're in that crossroads right now. Like, how are we going to help? Are we gonna take it from these people that already made it, or are we gonna burn the next generation and just call it a day? And at that point, who knows how long it's going to take? Maybe the recovery is going to be 100 years. I don't know, right? So that's definitely something that I really cannot answer or vouch for which side. But I think, like, if a median would be the best somehow to go down a little bit, but little enough for everyone else to be able to step into the game. What happens if we keep denying reality? I mean, what happens? I mean, like, there's only so much you can deny something, right? Like, you know, like we all of us, we know people that, you know, are in denial one way or another, whether it's health issues, whether it's financial issues, whether it's mental issues, you know what I mean? Like I was just playing with my kids the other day. In my head, I believed I can run, you know, the same as these kids on the field, right? Like I denied it. Like I came in strong and I said, don't worry about it. Like I'll play with you guys. But like after a few minutes, I was like, oh my gosh, like I really now feel the age. I still performed, but I didn't perform as much as I had it in my head. Like in my head, I believe I'm going to be a superstar and I'm going to show these kids how it's done. But it was definitely the other way around. And that just happened recently, right? So like it's that, but at least I realize it and I say, oh, okay, so that's the filter. I know now, right? But if you keep on going and you're just pretending you don't see the reality, well, then I don't know. I mean, you're going to hit the wall one way or another. All right, real estate speculation ends in desperation. And if we don't learn that lesson now, the pain will only go longer and deeper. Well, that's just it. I mean, like everybody knows their pain point, and pain points are something that it's an individual, I would say, in a personal belief or whatever it is, right? So nobody can say that, but I think that everyone should sit down, take a pen and paper, go old school, just put it, you know, how much money is coming in and how much money you're spending and how long you got and is there anything in the savings and what the situation is like. Just draw it out and look at the reality. Don't run away from it. Like, you know what I mean? Because I spoke to some people and they said, look, the last thing that I want to do is look at my bank account. I said, well, okay, fine. So why? It's like, I'm scared because I always owe. I'm like, okay, so like something is wrong, right? Like, so you have to change the circumstance in order to maybe get yourself in a better position and win the game, right? So thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.